After two important results on the road, just coming back home, how's the group and what have you seen in terms of how to keep that momentum going, especially now at home?
Um, I think it's less of a question of momentum and more of how eager are we as a group to get better, which is our constant goal, is to improve on what we do well. More importantly, what we don't do well. In every game you play, there's mistakes. Also, when you win, so I think it's a bit naive if you don't speak about those mistakes, especially after you win, because players are in a positive state of mind. It's a great time to correct those mistakes, and that's what we're constantly trying to do. So, having that said, we've had a good week. Obviously, the atmosphere is positive, but a week also of a lot of learning and improvements.
How would you describe the dynamic as like within the team right now with so many leaders, veteran players, and when it comes to holding each other accountable to try and be better and fix those mistakes?
That's exactly the point. And in transfers and roster building is to create a structure or a group that can govern and correct itself. And I think we are getting close.
Coming out of the last international break, you talked about how much you were looking forward to that Seattle match and having a healthier squad and adding the new additions that you were going to add. Talk about where that team was coming into that match against Seattle and where it has been after as you approach this match against Seattle coming up.
We weren't quite there health wise as we expected. And even now, there's always going to be little setbacks here and there. So I don't think we're at full strength yet. That's maybe a few weeks out. But we're in a good spot. And I thought we were in a good spot against Seattle last time. Maybe we're a little further along now than we were a couple weeks ago. But it's always an ultra competitive game against them. And, they had a important and emotional win coming from behind with the guy down last week. So they are also in a positive moment. So I'm really looking forward to this matchup.
Knowing that they're a team last year, I think the last 13 games they went 12-1, and obviously they're CCL champions and everything that they've accomplished. The chance to say no, you don't get any points against us at home, and sort of lay down your markers, the top team at the table. Does this match in particular, even though you're still a couple months out from the end of the year, hold any place in terms of how you think about the end of the season?
No, I don't think so. I think this is another game against a very good opponent. But I don't think this game decides what the standings are at the end of the season, nor does it decide if these two teams meet up in playoffs, what that result is. So this is match day 22 for us, and it's an opportunity for 3 points at home.
Last one for me. Since that stretch after the international break, I think you're 5-1-1. You say you're not at the full strength you hope to be, expect to be. What does that then say about the success you've had, despite not being exactly where you want to be? What does that tell you about this club?
All of the players who've contributed so far, and that's been pretty much everybody on the roster. A huge compliment to them. They've been excelling and pushing the envelope forward and trying to maximize our potential, which has been our goal all season. And for new players, we're adding, and if we do add new players, the bar is quite high, and it's a great position right now to try to add new pieces to improve the group because the group is already very good.
Steve, how is Gareth Bale physically, and how many minutes are we expected to see from him on Friday?
He's getting better. It's a preseason, so in a preseason, your body sometimes goes through bad days and good days. It's a little shock to the nervous system, and there's some sore days. And we are constantly improving him, and we are on track. So I think it would be be in position to add minutes to what we saw last week, but in a healthy pace and not too much too soon. So I think we can add. I'd prefer not to put a number on that, but I think we can add to what we had last week.
Steve, with so much depth in your team, how difficult is it for you to come up with a starting lineup these days? And what are your priorities when you are coming up with that line?
Um, It's not difficult. It's a great problem to have, and I would love to have this luxury problem always. It's a multi-factor process we go through: form, health, opponent, and then always trying to achieve and move towards our own game model, and which players give us that chance against certain opponents at certain moments in the season. That's how we decide who starts, and so it's a process that maybe goes on for a few days during the week, but eventually we come to a solution. And so far, it's been, with the exception of a few games, pretty good.
Steve, what's the situation with Brian Rodriguez? Is he leaving the team? We hear that he's going to Club America.
Then your ears are better than mine because I have not heard that. Brian's fine. Brian is back in training, and we're looking for Brian to start contributing again like he did before his injury. And our relationship, my personal relationship with Brian, from coach to player, is awesome. And he's eager to get back out there. He's in good spirits, so that's the status quo.
Steve, how was seeing Gareth get his first goal, but especially knowing that you have another player that can contribute and can be a threat, especially when it comes to closing games because of his potential?
Yeah, it's an ideal position for us to put ourselves into positions where we can win games, and to have players you can put on the field and eventually from the start to help decide games is a great tool. But one we looked for, and we're meticulous when we were building the roster, and I think Gareth is in a good spot. Great to have him on the scoreboard. Our only bone to pick with him was that he didn't get a second. He knows that. But yeah, it's a wonderful tool to have, and I hope we get to see a lot more of it.
Steve, can you touch on Sebastian Mendes, one of the newest additions to the club? He did get the chance to get a few minutes in on the field. I'm not sure if it's enough to get an assessment, but what has, from your opinion, added to the group, and your thoughts on him as a player?
Yeah, Seva is first and foremost, an awesome person. He's come in and he's fit in real nicely. He has two players he's played with his national team, feels very comfortable with, but he fits in personality-wise in this group very, very well. And we're overjoyed to have him. And on the field, especially in training this week, it's been fantastic. It's incredible to see how fast he's learned our system and be able to put his own stamp on it. So I think moving forward, we'll see a lot more of Seva and to be a big contributor for this group.
Excellent. Now we'll just go to the final questions on Zoom. Seth, take it away.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Alicia Rodriguez. Go ahead, Alicia.
Thank you. Hi, Steve. I had two questions for you. First, I know you always mention that you're looking at each game individually, you're not looking ahead. But I do wonder, on a personal level, are you someone who, takes a peek at the standings, the scores around the league to sort of see where LAFC is sitting? Or do you really not pay much attention to what's happening outside of that particular game, what you're focusing on with your group?
To be honest, it's unavoidable in my household. My kids tell me, so there's no way around it. But I personally, at this point in the season, do not make a big deal of it. I'm that's just the way I've learned how to go about my way in this world. And I feel for our particular group and for our situation, it's the best way to treat the season is to think from half to half, not even game to game. And I think it's a healthy approach. If that changes in the future, I'll let you know. But for now, that's what we're going to stick with.
Sounds good. Second one, to switch gears a little bit, wanted to ask about Las Vegas Lights. Obviously, you coached them last year. Several players from LAFC on loan there, and they're doing pretty well. Have you been sort of keeping track of those players in that team this season?
Of course. Enrique has done a great job with the group this year, and Enrique and I worked very well and closely last year together with the Lights, and tried to build the squad this year to become better, and I think we've achieved that. And more importantly, players are getting valuable minutes and improving in their development. to get them ready for LAFC. So it's been a successful relationship between both clubs for that purpose, and Enriquez and the players this year have managed to give the fans in Vegas more reason to cheer for and a few more points than we were last year. But it's always a process, and we're very proud of the boys for that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good to Osvaldo Lopez. Go ahead, Osvaldo.
Thank you, sir. Hello, Steve. Good afternoon. With Giorgio's incorporation in defense, what are the biggest improvements that you have seen from your team defensively?
I think anticipating play and also in build-up, those are two of his strongest attributes. I think that's been very prevalent in the games that he's played in, and I think more importantly in training sessions. These habits and tendencies rub off on teammates, and so we've been able to watch that process begin and slowly catch on. So it's been a great addition so far.
Just can you touch on the overall atmosphere within the locker room? It just seems that everyone is enjoying themselves and being a part of this club.
Yeah, it's relaxed, yet hungry for more and for improvement. There's no reason to slow down. Everybody is contributing, and I think that's important, that everybody feels like they can contribute and should and get the chance to. And we've been trying to manage that all season. And it's the easiest thing in the world to sit back and say, oh, we're in first place and everything is great, let's just relax a little bit and maybe try something else. But in my experiences, that's when things start to go sour. So we will not do that. And the players don't want to do that either. And that's makes our job as coaches and for management here much easier when players are hungry for more. And we will try to add to that and to help them achieve their goals.
With Kellen available on Friday, what are you thinking in terms of midfield? Does Seba get his first start with LAFC potentially? And what does it say about your midfield depth at this point? How do you feel about that?
When everybody's healthy, it's great. It's a portion of our team that is in a very good position and is very solid. So, who will start? We'll all see Friday. But Seba, Latif, they're all great players, and both can jump in right away and help this team win.
What do you miss by not having Kellen in the lineup? What has he done for you? I mean, he's really quiet on the stat sheet, but obviously he's really important on the field. What do you feel about his presence?
Yeah, I think his experience, his passing, but also his ability defensively to cover a lot of ground, break up a lot of plays, goes unnoticed a lot. And it's extremely important in the system we play for players in his position to put up physical big numbers, and he's been able to do that regularly and in a quality that is worthy of a U.S. national team player, and so he's been good.